Men are mortal, so are ideas. An idea needs propagation as much as a plant needs watering, otherwise, both will wither and die. These words by Baba Sahib Ambedkar remind us of our responsibility to strive for change and open up for the way for meaningful action by virtue of discourse and discussion. Thank you so much for tuning in. I, KR Swati, welcome you all to today's discussion on portrayal of caste in Bollywood, examining marginalized narratives in film. This discussion has been organized by APNA, Association for Parivartan of Nations, a non-profit organization registered under Society Act 1860, started by young graduates to solve some of the most pressing issues in Jharkhand. In the year 2019-20, the organization decided to work in the direction of sustainable development goals to meet the United Nations Agenda 2030, addressing and tackling issues such as gender inequality, human rights, climate change, and education by organizing several awareness campaigns, seminars, competitions, Nukkad Sabhas, workshops, roundtable discussions in various cities and villages, focusing mostly on tribal areas. APNA has worked hard towards securing the right to education admissions for disadvantaged groups on roughly 700 seats in Ranchi. APNA was started in 2018 with a mission to contribute towards a just society and eliminate discrimination and inequality of any and every kind. Today's discussion is also a step in the same direction. Films have been serving as a window to our imagination, shaping not only individual thoughts but also collective consciousness. While cinema serves as a mirror to a society, it also has the potential to provide its viewers with infinite possibilities, alternate realities, and visions of a better tomorrow. And yet, there isn't a sufficient representation of narratives of the subaltern in our cinema. While Hollywood has begun making some amends for the poor representation of marginalized communities, Indian cinema still has a long way to go. Let me take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt welcome to our distinguished guest for the day, Mr. Deepak Bara. Sir has proven himself adept at multiple roles, including those of a documentary film editor, teacher, video producer, camera person, director, translator, and trainer. A fine arts graduate with a diploma in film and video editing, Sir has been a part of documentary films since 2002 and has edited many award-winning films, including the 2006 MIFF Silver Conch winning Kora Raji, the highly acclaimed documentaries Guru Gara and The Hunt, and the incredibly moving film The Dark Secret Behind Your Shiny Makeup, a documentary on the plight of Mica miners from Giridih and Koderma districts of Jharkhand. In total, he has been a part of 52 documentary films on indigenous and tribal populations of Jharkhand with various themes including constitutional rights, forest rights, social movements, sports, literature, human rights, the list just goes on. It is our pleasure to host you today, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure is also mine.
We'll get right on to it. So, sir, my first question to you is going to be Bollywood or the Hindi film industry is more or less a homogeneous setup wherein almost every actor, writer, and director all come from Savarna caste. To talk about diversity in this space feels like an uphill task. So, personally speaking, what attracted you to the realm of filmmaking back in 2002?
Uh, well, all of us grew up watching movies, and after I think 88, 89, there was a boom of movies and videos coming up in our televisions as well as in cinema halls. But through television, it could reach your homes. So we grew up, we saw so many productions which entertained us and also questioned our minds. So we decided, especially if I tell about myself, I decided to choose the field of fine arts and become a filmmaker myself because art was all in my mind and I looked towards its career and everything. But as you can see, Indian community is divided into caste and all the creed. And I being a filmmaker and also a tribal, I could not find myself in cinema. not my community in cinema. If there is a tribal representation in cinema, it's more like a subhuman kind of community living in forests, and they do not have any language, a particular language or culture. There is no depth in their songs or anything you say. While studying, we found out that filmmakers like Ritvik Ghatak and all, they made cinemas including tribal perspective as well, but they failed because they all of them belong to a different caste or a separate group of people. So definitely no, there was no tribal in cinema. In fact, by the time we grew up and we understood cinema, so back then in 2002, it was all like there was a lot of agitation. Jharkhand was new, and there was a lot of talk about tribal way of life. In fact, the movement for separation of Jharkhand grew as a demand from the tribal community. Uh, so there were also, so many issues going on within tribal communities like displacement and everything. What took me on was, if I look at the stories, our people suffer here, or our people go through here, especially tribals. There is a lot of, stories to tell to the outside world how a tribal feels. This world is all about. So back then, since it was like giving something to the community, I started documenting. I chose to be with a separate form of cinema, that is documentary filmmaking, and I started. We started with a very good film, Kota Raji. It's all about historical aspect of tribal community, and the story in its true nature, how it is perceived through a tribal lens. So I have worked with filmmakers like Biju Topo and all. So, uh, so we had a different vision towards storytelling in cinema, but we were bound to the social cause. So that's it is. Till now, I have by my films, by documentary films, I have tried to bring up the stories by documentary films, the stories of Birhors, the story of Mica miners, the marginalized community, the people getting displaced from their places of ancestors, and the story goes on. So I think there are a lot of stories around the tribal community or the Dalit community, which are hidden from the world. And if you look at the Bollywood, the business Bollywood makes is like it's the largest film industry in whole world. It's about 185 billion. Um, the money is big, but if you look at the quality of productions in the last 100 years, we have represented ourselves with only 3 Oscars in our name. So I think there is a lack of true sense of storytelling. In fact, it's a superficial world, the Hollywood, which does not portrays our community in a true way. And for the tribal, I think we do not have any space in it. Yeah.
That's so true, sir. In fact, a lot is being talked about in the West, trying to address issues of race and racial discrimination. They're calling for more diversity, and Indians are lauding these steps. They are all full of support and applauding these steps. Why does this representation debate face such an uncomfortable silence when it comes to our home turf?
Uh, well, India has a social fabric, and it is very layered. There are issues of gender. There is discrimination within, like with castes. Uh, uh, in particular, if you see, Indians are like they whatever they do not understand within themselves, the cultures around them. So they have a different set of mind, mainly portrayed by scriptures, maybe you can call it dharmic scriptures, religious scriptures, and the treatment and the story and the characters in it, they are all portrayed according to the hierarchy of the Indian uh, caste system or the creed system. So I think I think all these, the fabric of social fabric in India, all has a different set of story to tell. A Dalit perspective is totally different. How it perceives the world, how it perceives the oppression. But if you see Bollywood, there is always portrayal of, if the the main lead in the cinema have to be a person from a privileged community, and a person or the character who is supposed to be, you can say, if you say like Gurkhas, if you can see Gurkhas in Indian cinema, they have a different role. It is always like they are stamped. They have a particular. They have to be Gurkha has to be the gatekeeper in the film also. So that's the perception. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. Um, Farmer has to be a Dalit person. The oppressed has to be a Dalit. A victor has to be, a person from the privileged background. That's how our scriptures are. That's how our mindset is. So in stories, we also expect, being an audience and being an Indian citizen, we expect that same hierarchy is portrayed towards us through cinema. So yeah, cinema is reflection of conscience of the people and of course of the times. So if you see Indian cinema, it truly depicts what the mindset of Indians are, and you can see there is no clarity for equality. If you see, when we talk about India, it's like a nation, and if we talk about India, it's like talking about constitution, the values our communities should respect as a citizen of India. So we are striving towards it. There are less opportunities for underprivileged classes like tribals and all. Though there are seats as many, but financially, and if you talk about the whole hierarchy which runs through the society regarding finances, opportunities, and everything, still Dalits and marginalized people have to go a lot towards independent filmmaking and storytelling as such. Yeah.
Uh, Sir, like you mentioned, there is an attempt to introduce varying narratives through cinema. We've had films like Sadgati and Bandit Queen, and more recently, Article 15 came up. And these films did tackle the issue of caste, but then it was from a privileged perspective. Um, there are some other films, like for example, Marathi films like Sairat and Chandri. These also depict like intercaste marriages, intercaste couples, etc. But these love stories essentially end up in tragedy. So, are these the only ways of depicting the marginalized communities as either victims who are not capable of doing anything for themselves, or if they dare to do something for themselves, then that would end in a fatality? Is that the only way of portraying the marginalized community?
See, there is a lot to explore in the layers of community, as I said. If you talk about tribals, uh, tribals have a very rich culture. If you talk about Oraons in Chota Nagpur and area of the central India, if you talk about Oraons, they have 62 seasonal dances and dance forms, which you cannot imagine. So there are so many cultural richness which is ingrained in even in Dalit community. So, if a person from privileged caste or a class of society makes a film about underprivileged, obviously he has a limited vision that has prejudices, and of course has the obligation to portray the society as the true it is. So, like these films, Sadgati or you say Article 15, they are being made by they are made by people from the privileged community. So it portrays as such. A tribal or a Dalit, uh, you can see like Dalit filmmakers like Nagraj Manjule, how he deals his cinema. Uh, when you talk about Sairat and all, the story revolves around, you know, food, and what are the aspirations of the Dalit community? How does it see his normal food habit or his normal going around in the community is seen through the lenses of other people? But both of the films, if you see, Sairat has a different expression, and Article 15 has a totally different expression. It's more bound towards the Constitution, but yeah, it portrays the real picture of our community. There has to be, we have to have so many Dalit filmmakers. We have to have so many tribal filmmakers. We have to have so many protagonists coming from these communities. And we should have so many stories coming out from these communities. That would make our cinema really rich and not just, a superficial world which Bollywood has become, I guess. Yeah.
Um, Sir, you said that very correctly, and I totally agree with it. So that there need to be more Dalit filmmakers and Dalit voices which are getting expression in the film industry. So, but I think that this would be achieved only when mainstream cinema is involved. How can alternative modes of filmmaking, for instance, documentary filmmaking, like these are not modes which a lot of people are exposed to. They would rather go in with the mainstream. So how can we include marginalized narratives within the mainstream setup of cinema?
Uh, uh, See, there are a lot of filmmakers like in South also. The Dalit narrative in cinema has grown up there. If you can see filmmakers in Jharkhand, like Niranjan Kuju or Seral Moore movies coming up, uh, these guys have a different perspective. They have a story to tell. They always have a story to tell. So I guess people are coming around with their stories. And as far as if you want to talk about documentary films, it explores a very different realm of expression, and that is not entertainment. Actually, that's the reality. That's the documentation, in fact. So documentary films are very necessary to make people aware of the issues coming up in our communities, and in a true sense, it bridges a gap between film and a news. So documentary films have their own space. Equally, if those issues which come up in documentary films, if they are portrayed in Indian cinema, I think that would be wonderful, and we could make world acclaimed movies, which Iranians did, which Japanese filmmakers did. So we still have a lot to tell, and I believe the coming age of new filmmakers, Dalit filmmakers from South India, tribal filmmakers from Jharkhand and elsewhere in our country. You can see tribal filmmakers from Northeast also. The coming of platforms, is the streaming platforms. They have created a ray of hope for us, a variety where you can have selected audiences which are who are interested in a particular type of cinema, a particular type of storytelling, a particular set of culture in cinema. So yes, we are hopeful, whether it be documentary filmmaking or filmmaking, uh, the mainstream filmmaking with a Dalit or tribal narrative. It's much easier now. The gadgets available now are cheaper and they have high quality. So, in fact, there are so many filmmakers in like Odisha, also tribal filmmakers. They are making films from using their phones and all. So these small time cinemas will also affect the mainstream cinema and the story around it. We have seen everything around it. The like the Naxal narrative in Indian cinema. It has its own narrative. It has its own angle of you know uh, uh, administrative angle towards an issue in community. So there is a lot in cinema, and I am so hopeful that all the versions of cinema, whether it be documentary or fiction, or you may call it mainstream, or the subaltern cinema, all of them will just come up through all these streaming channels and everything, and we will have a very rich cinema in the coming future, I guess.
Sir, how can the privileged community contribute towards a meaningful discussion of the portrayal of caste in Bollywood? Like, they should also be stakeholders, but then there is a very fine line when it comes to representation and appropriation. So one needs to tread that line very carefully. So how can a member of the privileged community contribute towards this portrayal while not tokenizing the marginalized?
Well, it's this question is very deep, and it is it's very much linked to our constitution. As far as I can say, I'm sorry. If I can say, I haven't heard constitution or the values of constitution being much discussed around cinema. Even in schools, we haven't learned a lot about constitution, citizenship. I guess the caste system and everything wrong about it is just about the ignorance about the constitution of India. Our constitution, it talks about four values, and those are equality, justice, freedom, and brotherhood. I would not say brotherhood, it's again gender discriminating. I would say the we as together. So yeah, so first of all, whether it be person or a filmmaker from any community, whether it be a privileged community or even a Dalit or tribal community, first of first and the foremost thing that one should remember, even if uh, being not a filmmaker, that these are the values we should respect and we should protect for our brothers and for other communities to become a eligible citizen of India. So this political awareness, uh, uh, though we have, implemented our constitution and formulated our laws according to the constitution, but community still remains the same. And constitution is not like a huge rock. It's a path. How a community should idealize itself, should strive for. In the recent past, we have seen a bit of deterioration in all these values which I spoke of. So yes, cinema is also suffering from the deterioration of these values. There is no, there is appropriation of equality. It's confusing. The freedom, it's confusing in cinema. And the values are also twisted. So, so I think being a citizen, also a filmmaker, it's a bit tough, and it is, I think, um, uh, the best thing to do, and one should do, being here in India and as a citizen and towards contributing to our community. So yeah, filmmakers should also be politically educated about and constitutionally educated, and very few filmmakers are like um, Shyam Benegal. They have a very deep vision. They have very deep knowledge about constitution. When they made television series like Samvidhan, the making of constitution. So these are the things one should, look at before looking at the cinema or responding towards it. Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah.
Yes, sir, that's true. Even Neeraj Ghewan, I believe he is also like he has the sense of consciousness and a sense of identity when it comes to his films, and he makes sure that he puts a reflection of his identity into the movies which he makes. But then he is often acknowledged as a Dalit filmmaker. That is added to his designation. So, what do you think is the role of personal identity when it comes to filmmaking? Do you think it's important to acknowledge the filmmaker's identity with respect to their cast, or should the film itself be independent of this discussion?
Uh, well, we are standing in time where our community and we as a whole, being an individual in this country or in this land, we are striving towards an understanding to live at peace with each other. So it's a continuous process, you know. So today's time, when there are, if you say a person is Dalit filmmaker, he must be acknowledged because what is Dalit perspective? Equally, if you talk about literature, there is a Dalit perspective in literature, and it is acknowledged so, right? Adivasis have a separate kind of literature, and it is acknowledged so. So, a writer who is a Adivasi or a Dalit or an artist, it should also portray his, you know, his perspective. So, it is very right for these times while we are striving towards equality, striving towards freedom and justice and a sense of belonging among ourselves, for now, I think one should be a filmmaker, should be acknowledged how, from what community he belongs to, what perspective he is going to bring forth. So, for the time being, I think it is quite good. But I would like in the future, and everything should, be equal and everything be more rational. Yeah.
So, sir, what projects are you working on at this point of time? What is there in the pipeline?
Well, uh, being a documentary filmmaker is not very easy. You have to respond to communities' needs, and if you are documenting an issue in the community from the community, you're also working as a a member of civil society uh, towards the betterment of the issue, towards the eradication of the pain, suffering of the community. So my cinema, or you can say documentary films, is not just about bringing up information. It's also about uh, mm, uh, bringing up the issues and creating advocacy towards its betterment. So at these times, I am very much busy with the civil society of Jharkhand, and I am, assisting myself in providing relief to the needy in rural areas of Jharkhand, especially tribal during this COVID pandemic. And if there was no pandemic, I would have, I would have been doing a story about tribal girls, sports girls, and small cinema. And another one is in the pipeline. It's about witch hunting. So let us see how we can have a different perspective altogether in all these issues. When you might have seen all these stories about witch hunting from a from a privileged caste angle, and their finding and their perspective towards it. But I am hoping towards, like, I will bring up these cinemas with a different perspective and different issues which are more real and down to earth. Yeah, these are the. So you should watch our
Uh,
Mica film. It is very.
we do, sir. This discussion reminds me of a quote by Lebanese actress Nadine Zabaki. She said, "Cinema is not only about making people dream; it's also about changing things and making people think." And I feel that this discussion was definitely a step towards it, and a lot of the viewers would be taking inspiration from your work in your words. So, what would be your parting message to the viewers?
Well, in our community, if I am a tribal, and in our community, when people sing and dance, there are no party, there are no audiences. Nobody is an audience. Everybody is a participant. So when you think about cinema, one should be a participant in cinema. One should respond to cinema. One should act towards cinema. One should, you know, see through the lenses of different many people who are filmmakers, and think about idealism our community should have and strive towards. So, yeah, please do see cinema, a lot of it, offbeat cinema, everything. Yeah, become more aware, because the coming times are all about cinema, videos, realities, and all whatnots coming, with video, and the power behind it. So that message is, yeah, see different cinema. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really a meaningful discussion, and I'm so happy that I got the opportunity to take this interview. Moreover, I feel that even when it comes to like I'm a literature student, and I think like blending fiction and facts is so important these days because, like for example, you offer an alternate, you present a narrative in which there is oppression. It's taken in one way, but then you present it in such a manner that it is a story of, it might be a story of oppression, but at the same time, it's a story of upliftment also. You have to see it from a different perspective, and that would really enlighten us. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of this interview.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Pleasure was mine. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.